Africa's deadliest plane crash. What really happened to EgyptAir 990? Before we begin, if you're fascinated by true stories from Africa that the world rarely talks about, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe to Africa Unboxed. We bring you Africa's untold history, mysteries, and events that shape the continent and the world. Now, buckle up, because what you're about to hear is one of the most chilling and controversial aviation disasters in modern history. A crash that killed 217 people, sparked an international standoff, and left behind more questions than answers. This is the story of EgyptAir Flight 990, Africa's deadliest plane crash. October 31st, 1999. It was a crisp fall morning in New York City. At 12:10 a.m., EgyptAir Flight 990 lifted off from JFK International Airport, bound for Cairo. The aircraft was a Boeing 767, a wide-body jet considered one of the safest in the sky. On board, 217 people, mostly Egyptian and American nationals. Families, business travelers, crew members, all expecting a routine, overnight flight across the Atlantic. But just 33 minutes later, radar screens lit up with confusion. The plane had disappeared. No distress call, no mayday, no survivors. It would take days for investigators to locate the debris, scattered across the Atlantic Ocean some 60 miles south of Nantucket Island, Massachusetts. If this feels eerily similar to the recent Air India Dreamliner crash, you're not imagining things. In both cases, a Boeing aircraft plunged without warning. Both had hundreds of lives lost, and both left behind a trail of mysteries. But what happened next with Flight 990 would divide two nations and shake the world of aviation. If you're with us so far, go ahead and hit that like button. It helps more people discover these untold stories, and it supports independent African content like this. Within days, US Navy ships recovered the black boxes, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. The analysis began. And then came a chilling discovery. The National Transportation Safety Board, America's top aviation investigator, concluded that the plane wasn't brought down by mechanical failure. It was deliberately crashed by one of the pilots. Specifically, Relief First Officer Gamil El Batouti. According to the cockpit recordings, Batouti waited until the captain left the flight deck to use the bathroom. Then he disengaged the autopilot and repeatedly whispered in Arabic, "Tawakkaltu ala Allah, I rely on God." The plane nosedived, plunging 14,000 feet in just 40 seconds. When the captain returned, he fought to regain control. The plane briefly leveled off, before diving again, this time fatally. In the NTSB's final report, the cause was listed as a deliberate action by the Relief First Officer. But Egypt didn't buy it. Officials called the report offensive, premature, and politically motivated. EgyptAir was a national carrier, representing Egyptian pride and sovereignty. To accuse one of its veteran pilots of suicide and mass murder was unacceptable. Egyptian authorities suggested mechanical failure or even a possible missile strike. Others hinted at sabotage or a cover-up involving intelligence agencies. To this day, Egypt refuses to accept the US version of events. Sound familiar? In the recent Air India 787 crash, where 241 people died just seconds after takeoff, questions also swirl. Was it a mechanical fault, human error, or something else? These tragedies remind us, in aviation, the truth is often buried under layers of metal, politics, and silence. Don't forget, if you're finding this story gripping, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And make sure you've subscribed. We have more rare stories from across Africa coming up. The crash of EgyptAir 990 marked the deadliest aviation disaster involving an African airline. It also deepened mistrust between the US and the Arab world during a sensitive political era. It highlighted the cultural divide in how different nations handle tragedy, blame, and honor. Technically, it should have changed aviation safety standards dramatically, but instead, it faded into the shadows of other global events, from 9/11 to the Boeing 737 MAX disasters decades later. Today, the final resting place of EgyptAir 990 lies beneath the cold Atlantic. The families of the victims, American and Egyptian, still seek closure. And pilots around the world still study the case as a lesson in human psychology, trust, and tragedy at 33,000 feet. Why should this matter to us now? Because aviation disasters are rarely just about planes. They're about people, systems, power, culture, and the way we respond to crisis. With the Air India crash in 2025, where the world's safest Dreamliner fell from the sky, killing 241 and sparking a global investigation, Flight 990 echoes louder than ever. Both involved Boeing aircraft. Both involved questions no one wants to ask. And both left only one side telling the story. We may never know exactly what happened in those final moments, but we can keep the memory of those lives alive. We can tell the story, and we can ask the hard questions, even when answers are uncomfortable. Thanks for watching Africa Unboxed, where we explore Africa's history, mysteries, and impact on the world. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us grow and bring you more stories that matter. Drop a comment. Do you believe the official story about EgyptAir 990? Or do you think there's more we're not being told? Until next time, stay curious.